Man, this is so weird. Why they would have taken down these two trees. Holy smokes, like I said before, we're starting to get a lot of vacancies here. Probably just because the cost of living is too high, but yeah, they came through and wiped out two trees. Give you an idea how big those three redwood trees are next to the rancho there. Man, I hope those babies stay up. So I'm heading down to Bear Park again to get my morning constitutional in. And I wanted to talk a little bit about cameras and cell phones because I get a lot of questions about what do you think is a good camera to use to do YouTube or Instagram, TikTok. So I really want to get into that today because it's not a simple answer anymore. Particularly when you think about how far smartphones have come in the last few years. But, we'll get into it down at the park. I guess the boys are done blasting the blowers here this morning. There's a lot to be said for the old days of the push broom. Anyway, camera you use on YouTube. Well, this has really been a point of contention for a long time, with people focusing a little too much on what camera or the way you record stuff as opposed to the story you want to tell. And that's the first thing I want to tell you. What matters is even the worst videography in the world, think the Blair Witch Project or something like that, the worst videography in the world, cinematography, if the story's compelling, people will bear with it. Not so much audio. Okay, this is why it was a good investment for me to have the media edition for the GoPro here, because I could have a clip-on wireless microphone, and it makes a big difference here. But when I first started YouTube back in 2013, I just grabbed a camera I had, which was a General Electric A321. I think that was either the 312 or 321 camera, and it took okay still pictures. Can you imagine General Electric making a camera? But man, the videos were horrendous. They were all grainy and terrible. I think you could only shoot 3x4 videos. And I did a video, I think in 2008, where in 2017, I did all of the cameras that I used in my early days. I laid them all out. It had to be like 15, 20 cameras that I used, going from standard definition up to 4K videos, and it was quite a journey. And in that period of time, there's been such tremendous advances, not only in cameras, but in phones. And I would tell you it's important, if you're going to do YouTube, to just use what you have and make sure the reason that people are watching it is compelling reason. In other words, story trumps all. If the story's great, people will watch. Having said that, I think it's important, and I think smartphones have come a long way too. I think it's critical that either your phone or your camera hit a couple of key points. Number one is stabilization. If you're one of those people that wants to do a walk and talk or drive and talk, something like that, it's absolutely critical that you have good stabilization in your camera or on your smartphone. And a lot of the earlier smartphones through 2015, 2018 did not have good stabilization, and it's very tiresome to watch herky-jerky video. It takes a lot of mental focus on that. So you want to make sure, number one, it has excellent stabilization. Number two, if possible, you want to make sure that it can perform a bit in low light conditions. Any camera can work well when there's plenty of light, except maybe the, well, I don't know many, but it's easy. Sometimes they're too sensitive and they get too blown out, too white looking, and they lose all of their detail. But the real test is, if you're going to do cooking videos or something like that, the real test is having something that performs in low light conditions inside. And this has been one of my greatest challenges in videography on YouTube, and I still got miles to go, and that's getting really good quality indoor videos, whether I'm doing cooking or whether I'm doing a discussion of something. It's important that it be decent quality, and I've not conquered that mountain. I will be the first one to tell you. The third thing is you need to pay attention to sound. And there's a lot of people that will go through, they'll record videos, sound wasn't great, but the pictures, the video's good, and all the wind noise, it's a killer. It's an absolute killer, wind noise. And I knew somebody, friend of mine, even if the video, if they shot it sideways or upside down, they would still put it up on YouTube, which really shocked me. But you have to make sure that you have good sound too. And a lot of times that means if you're recording outside, that you must have good sound capability and good sound for people that are watching. So finding something that clicks all those boxes, checks all those boxes, is very difficult. For a long time, since 2019, my my Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus was tremendous, and it clicked so many of those boxes, but it was not great in windy type conditions, but it would do good. It had a good low light lens, which is important, a good fast lens for low light conditions. But it's coming to a point now where I can really tell the difference now between video that's shot on a camera and video that is shot on the phone, because phone sensors are very, very tiny in size, whereas camera sensors are 1 inch square. A lot of them are 1 inch square. Some of the full frame ones are even bigger in size. And the bigger the sensor inside, the more data it's taking in, the more light, and the better the image quality. So I've tried to sort of move away from using the camera so much. I know I'll have to use it inside. Like the GoPro, I can't use it. It's useless inside unless you have it really brightly lit inside of you have to have a lot of studio lights to really make it work, whereas you don't really need that much with a smartphone, a good, decent smartphone. But for being outside, for me, the one that I finally settled on, and I've had it for a few years and didn't really use it too much, was my GoPro Hero 11. Now, this thing has, as you've seen when you walk into it, has outstanding stabilization to it. This is going to make it easy on the eye for people that are watching the video. Number two, it has great sound quality out of the box, and when you spend a little extra and you get the media case that it goes into. It has a 2-directional front and back microphone, but it also has jacks that you can put a wireless microphone in it. And you don't have to worry about wind, you don't have to worry about anything, right? I even have this Rode wireless microphone, and because I was worried about the little dead cat fur muff on top of this, I went ahead and just super glued it right on top of it. I don't have to worry about it popping off and losing it. And this thing is excellent in high wind conditions. I really like the images that GoPro video produces. You can go from what I usually shoot in is like a flat profile, that you're not getting that fishbowl effect, where you're not getting the curving here on the edges of the video. Or you can go up to super view, where you're almost getting like a 180-degree view. Imagine seeing 180 degrees on each side of me instead of maybe 25, 30 degrees here. I mean, okay, but it's going to distort the face. It's going to blow it out. It's going to be a little strange, but it's great if you're doing action runs like skiing or things like that, so people have the wide view. The reason I like the GoPro is it really gives you the choice to have those different iterations of how wide, all the way up to super wide, from flat all the way up to super wide, fisheye, super fisheye view. I think that's tremendous. Now, they've of course come out with the GoPro 12 and 13 since then, but the gains are so tiny going. The gains are so incremental. DJI also got into the game with the DJI, the action cameras. Now we're up to just introduced DJI Action 5 camera. And really the difference between all of these action cameras is very, very small now, okay? For my money, if you're gonna shoot indoors, you're still gonna have to pull out your smartphone and you're gonna have to integrate your video into whatever you shoot outside with the GoPro. Small price to pay. The other good thing about an action camera is you can knock it around, you can take it underwater with you, and it's going to perform really, really well, okay? It's waterproof. I mean, I've knocked this thing around and it can take a beating, okay? It's not going to be like a real sensitive Canon or Sony camera that if you look at it cross-eyed, it might, you know, the lens might not come out anymore. Important thing to think about. So if I was starting a YouTube channel in 2024 today, I would buy a GoPro Hero. Okay, you can get the latest one if you want. They're about 350 bucks or something like that. Or you can get one of the early ones for $200 used, maybe $100. They're going to be fantastic, okay? My GoPro, I can give it voice commands. I can tell it to do this and that just sitting here. When I'm done, I'll tell it to stop, recording here, and it will listen to me. It would also come on and start recording. Imagine how great that is for hands-free, especially if you're doing something like fishing or crabbing. And if you pair that GoPro with your smartphone, and use the Power Director by Cyberlink, which you can use for free with a watermark on it. And I'm not paid to promote that, but if you use that Power Director by Cyberlink, you can do all of your editing on your phone, add all of your music. It is fantastic. Export it all the way up to 4K. I don't know if you can do 60 frames. You can export it at least at 4K 24 or 30 frames per second, or 1080 at 60 frames per second. It is absolutely positively fantastic. So that's the way I feel about cameras for YouTube, Instagram. Now if you're a photographer, okay, GoPro takes nice pictures too, but if you're a dedicated photographer and not a videographer, then you probably want to think about a different camera. All right. That's just my take on it, but I want to thank you for watching this morning, and your thumbs up are appreciated. Please subscribe to this channel as well as the Rosie O'Kelly channel, and I'm going to head out of here and wish you guys a very, very wonderful rest of your day. Thumbs up are appreciated.